Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Reusse with Sports Talk.
Brian Murphy in for Joe Souchere. I've been deputized. Pat will be joining us from sunny southwest Florida, actually. Just before that, I wanted to get into, we were talking about Mark Cuban, right? He just got fined $600,000 for his comments about tanking. Apparently, Adam Silver could have fined him up to $1 million. So he kind of split the difference a little bit with him.
Well, so he went easy on him.
A little bit. And it's as a tweeter, Michael McGivern points out, $600,000 to Cuban is the difference between investing in an app for cat groomers on Shark Tank and not investing in an app for cat groomers on Shark Tank. Pat, what do you think about tanking comments?
That. I think $600,000
is
a lot of money to everybody.
Yeah, it's the least of his problems, though, today.
It's not like you and me, but it's, that thing's fantastic. But I didn't think they were that blatant this time. But obviously Adam Silver is very touchy about it because it is such a popular pastime for 10 or 12 NBA teams. They're the ones that set up the stupid, idiotic lottery that caused 14 teams to think, there might be an outside chance here. We're not going to do anything in the playoffs. Let's tank. So,
but you can't speak of it, especially on Dr. J's podcast.
No, you can't. You can't ever mention it. But I think what's happening down in Dallas takes care of Mr. Cuban's ambitions, perhaps to run for president.
Yeah, Sports Illustrated dropped a huge bomb.
I don't worry about that anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like he was running Hef's Jacuzzi down there.
Well, they had.
Yeah,
the
it
guy
certainly prevented the last guy from getting elected.
Well played.
I don't think he. I don't.
He was. There was a lot of accusations made towards the current president.
Still,
but this is you're the boss and people are running amok.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a different environment. And now, plus, if Cuban ran, he would not be appealing to nut jobs. He would try and be appealing to sane human beings.
Correct.
So that would be a problem. That would be part of it. But this is apparently Murph is the guy covering from MLB for Mavericks.com, the beat writer.
Yeah, Earl Sneed.
Earl Sneed. He beat up a girlfriend. And,
two of them.
Well, I was going to put them in order here. He beat up the girlfriend, and then they kind of said, okay, we'll really put him on probation here. And then they found out there was another girlfriend that he beat up, one of whom worked for the Mavericks, was a live-in working for the Mavericks. And then after that one, Cuban's long explanation was that he thought that if he just fired him and turned him loose that he might get worse, so they thought they would send him through counseling to get over this problem he had. And I don't think that has worked out for anybody there.
Unfortunately, the HR director was a mess, too.
Yeah, the HR director was. What happened then is all the women in the place said, "Okay, so this is quite a place to work, where you can beat up a coworker, a female coworker who's your live-in girlfriend, and continue to be employed." That didn't work too well. So,
for those of you wondering, Sports Illustrated dropped a pretty big story last night on its website. Basically, interviewed about a dozen former and current employees of the Mavericks who described a culture rife with, quote, misogyny and predatory sexual behavior, alleged public fondling by the team president, outright domestic assault by a high-profile member of the website staff, unsupported or even intimidating responses from superiors who heard complaints, and even an employee who openly watched pornography at his desk. So it's serious damage control for Mark Cuban, one of the highest profile sports owners in the country right now.
Apparently, this Turdema Ussery, was he the president?
Yes, he was the
serial
president.
harasser.
Yes, and he was there for about 15 years. He left in 2015.
Well, yeah, it's not looking good for Mr. Cuban here, and I would think, considering they have taken themselves down to the bottom here as a franchise, you throw that in on top of this, and I would think they'd have some empty seats there next season, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they're going to have some empty seats in the front office pretty soon, too, because there's going to be a house cleaning down there. I think it's already started. It might be league mandated.
They've already gotten rid of Ussery or whatever his name is.
Well, he left on his own in 2015, but I think wherever he's working now, I think it's Under Armour. Apparently on his bio, it suddenly says he's on sabbatical. So it's
from Under Armour?
From Under Armour.
Okay.
He went from the Mavericks to Nike to Under Armour, and apparently these Sports Illustrated's inquiries have trickled down all the way to the point where he may be looking for work very soon again with a tarnished rep.
Well, I'd say well-tarnished.
Well-tarnished.
Yes.
Well-earned, it sounds like.
Cuban is strutting around as the smartest man in America. It hasn't worked out too well. What's the show he's on?
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
CNBC, I believe.
I wonder what happens to him there.
Any show called Shark Tank, and I think Trump got his start on CNBC, right? Wasn't that where his first show, or was it always NBC, was The Apprentice?
I wonder if Cuban might be asked to step away, having been the boss for something like this. He tried to take credit for it. And then I saw the guy that was accused of beating up the two women released a statement and disputed some of the facts of the piece.
But praised Cuban.
Praised Cuban and praised the HR director.
Right, which leads you to believe that they must have been covered for him. Otherwise, why would you do that?
Well, I think he praised them for giving him a chance to go get consoling that he's a better human now than he used to be. So.
Oh, well, that's good. Earl K. Sneed is his name.
Yeah, the story that we hear often. So, yeah, it's not real good for the end. Yeah, I wonder if knowing the SAI article was coming, increased the fine for tampering. If
it's kind of or you mean tanking?
They were looking for tanking. Yeah,
I don't know. It sounds like apples and oranges. If it was, maybe they could have hit him with $1 million. He could have hit him with $1 million if he wanted.
Yeah. The statement about tanking wasn't that blatant, I didn't think. So I don't know what the NBA's join the club here, fellas. There's going to be a lot of embarrassment in the world of sports here pretty soon as these things continue to mount.
Me Too is growing. It's funny, too. The Mavericks actually put out a very vague proactive statement last night, knowing the Sports Illustrated story was coming out.
It's actually been out. People have been talking about it 3-4 days that it was on the way. So
yeah, everybody knew it was coming. I think it had dropped last night. It must be in this week's magazine coming up, too. One of those old-school investigatory pieces that magazines like Sports Illustrated used to pride themselves on. You don't see too many papers doing it now that we're scrambling just to cover day-to-day in a whack-a-mole world.
Yeah, it is. Meanwhile, we don't know what's going on down here with Miguel and the accusation against him. According to him, baseball hasn't even talked to him yet.
They got to be doing some due diligence, I would say. They might be doing the real due diligence, not unlike the Vikings do with every draft choice. But I think that MLB is also very aware of how bad the NFL botched the Ray Rice case. And I keep thinking if this happened in a shopping mall, there's got to be a tape somewhere.
Yes, and who knows who's saying what right now? So we don't know what version is true here, but we'll see what happens on the deal. But baseball doesn't seem to be in any hurry. They pretty much promised the Twins they'd have some kind of a verdict by the time they open spring training, and that hasn't happened. So.
Hey, Pat, I know we got a break here, but I know you wanted, when we come back, I know you had thoughts on Billy Graham
yes.
that you wanted to get to. But I also, courtesy of Dave Harrigan, I have a great piece of audio of Bob Ryan. I think this was on PTI or Around the Horn, whatever.
I listened to it today. Yes, I was not involved, by the way.
I know. I just wanted to get your reaction. He's talking about sports writers and the drinking with the great Calvin Griffin.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
We'll have that when we get back.
The Reverend Billy Graham, evangelist, counselor to U.S. presidents, trendsetter, died today at 99. That's a pretty good run. I think he had been ill for quite some time.
Yes,
but,
he had.
The impact this man had on the culture is probably pretty hard to measure.
And the first president of Northwestern Bible College, which I believe was St. Paul Bible College out here in Roseville.
He was?
In the 1940s, yeah.
So
or maybe even early 50s.
Before he got on TV.
Tiny school. Yeah, he was just starting to become prominent, but that was one of his first jobs out there, which I didn't know until I went out there to do a story on their basketball team when they upset St. Thomas in the NCAA tournament a few years ago, and I saw some thing to Billy Graham there, and I said, okay, what's his? He must have stopped by here and made a speech or something. No, he was the president there. So he was, if there's a higher place and Billy doesn't make it, there's not much hope for the rest of us.
I would think so.
No, not at all.
He converted a lot of people. They were in Madison Square Garden, I think, in the 50s for like 6 weeks, and they packed that place. With one of his first, evangelical revivals in Madison Square Garden forever. And every night, the great George Beverly Shea sang "How Great Thou Art." And maybe before the show's over, we can play that because he was fantastic. But,
now, was he an Old Testament fire and brimstone guy, or was he more?
Well, he could help. He wasn't quite as far down that road as Oral Roberts, but yeah, he was very inspirational. But he wasn't, he just made a very, from what I could tell, he just made it. I didn't go and sit through many of these, but he was certainly influential, and I don't know how many times did he show up to give the invocation at the inauguration of presidents. I think he was there pretty much all the time there for about 20 years. So
he became sort of a regular. I mean, it was almost like the Helen Thomas of the sermon.
Now on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, who else died today?
This was Around the Horn, right?
Oh,
Ravers?
yes. Bob Ryan, one of your pals, Patrick. Bob Ryan was on Around the Horn.
Bob Ryan was on Around the Horn.
Is he retired from the Globe, or is he still writing?
He's sort of a columnist emeritus.
Okay, gotcha.
He writes every once in a while.
He was talking about drinking, sports writers drinking, and how the best.
Somebody was asking him about that.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, yeah, I forgot how it got brought up, but he was talking about how nobody touched Minneapolis when it came to drinking as a sports writer.
The best press room in the league, well, I'll shut up after this, because of the traditional reverence for the media and the tradition. No, Minnesota, because of the Griffiths. The famous story, and this is a promise, I will shut up, gospel truth. The record leaving the Minnesota press room was 5 a.m., after an afternoon game.
Oh, come on. That is hard to miss.
I'm just telling you the story. Now, I wasn't present for that. That is a story that was told over and over again to me when I got on the beat. So 5 in the morning after an afternoon game. That's the AL record as far as we know.
I was involved in many incidents in that Twins room, but not this one. This one was, by all legend, was the early baseball writers for the California Angels. And they were staying, I believe, at the Thunderbird Hotel.
Sure.
And the legend is it's early sunrise time, middle of the summer, 5 a.m., and they're walking across from the press room over to the Thunderbird, and they're all they're stretched out, right? There's about 10 or 11 of them, and they're all stretched out. It looks like Lawrence of Arabia, going across the desert. And they're
probably the Baton Death March after that.
8, 10, 12 yards apart. And you're carrying typewriters back then, okay? You're not carrying computers. And the Angels, when they came to Los Angeles, to get the media to pay any attention to them because the Dodgers owned the town, 1961. They paid for their flights, the media, the sports writers' flights, for their hotels, and for their drinking and eating.
Oh, my God.
These guys,
the halcyon days.
They put sports writing freeloading on an epic level. And some of those guys were.
Did anybody rip them?
Of the Angels?
Yeah,
no.
I can't imagine.
They were a feisty, young, hard-working expansion team that was worth your dollars, I'm sure, to come out and watch them play. But,
could you imagine taking all that graft and then turning around and burying them?
Yeah,
last day of the season. Yeah,
that would take some chutzpah. But the Angels started in 61, and in 62 they were actually in the race with Rigney as the manager, and 62, they had decent clubs then. But that's the legendary one that was the Angels writers, Bud Ferrello and some of those guys.
But if keep this in perspective, it was only 3 a.m. Los Angeles time.
That's true.
My guess is this was the second game. If it's a weekend series and it was a Saturday afternoon game, the game was probably at 1 o'clock Sunday. They should have just stayed there.
Oh my God!
What you should know though, Reavers, is not only it might have been only 3 when they were Pacific Coast time when they were stumbling across the parking lot, but if the game started at 1, that means it started at 11 a.m.
Good point. That 2 hours works both ways.
Yeah, which means it ends at 2. You crank out your stuff. You start drinking by 5, I would say.
Even
at the latest,
when I'm at my zenith, I don't think I could do that.
12 hours?
11, 8. Well, that's more than 12.
No. I'm saying that they might have had a toddy or two, a Bloody Mary before the game, yes, down in the press room when they were eating breakfast. But I would think you're upstairs, you're writing. They didn't actually bring the booze to the press box back then at Met Stadium. So
until after
so you get done writing, and you do. If you really give them a diligent effort, you're back downstairs drinking by 5 p.m. and you're not leaving till 5 a.m.
Diligent effort.
At the Metrodome, until they tore that place down, they would bring up cans of beer in honor of, I believe, Griffith. That's the only place I ever drank.
The first 2 or 3 years. The first 2 or 3 years at the Metrodome, you could get booze in the press room, but then they stopped doing that probably in the late 80s, early 90s. But it was never like, the Met Center where.
Did they ever have a thing, Patrick, like they did down at the horse track in Shakopee, where they actually had the free beer in a pop machine? You could have Coke, you could have Sprite, you could have light beer or regular beer.
We had Artie the bartender. Artie served us, except when you came down after the game, Artie was hammered. You'd have to serve him.
You'd have to serve him.
The all-timer, Kenny, and I better do this quick, is I was the beat writer in 74, and they were dying. There 690,000 people was attendance that year. And that was my first year for the St. Paul paper. And they lost a doubleheader in the middle of the season, and there were rumors that they might go to Seattle because they were looking for a team. The Seattle was suing them because they'd only had a team for 1 year. And I wrote a game story that said it was a 2-act play called Death of a Franchise. And they put that in the headline.
Oh, my.
And the Twins were so mad, they put up a sign that said, "Press room closes at midnight." But luckily, 2 of the Angel writers burned it off the wall. They basically put a match to it. Hoggy Miller and Johnny Stellman just burned the damn thing, and they forgot about the rule. But they were not going to put up with closing the press room at midnight. But they were mad for about 3 days.
This aggression will not stand.
No, that was it. Right out of John Goodman, man. Right out of Walter's
Sobchak, yeah.
Sobchak, yeah.
All right, we'll be back with a news update and a little bit more sports talk right after this.
And now we're going to head out east and get the Your Money Now report. It comes to us courtesy from Owatonna's own Federated Insurance. From the Wall Street Journal, here is Bruce Vail with Your Money Now.
And it's on a great report today. A nice stock market rally fizzled in the final hour of trading as investors tried to digest the minutes from the most recent Federal Reserve meeting. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 166 points, closing at 24,797. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 16 points, and the S&P 500 lost 14. 3M shares fell more than 1%. Late yesterday, the company agreed to pay the the state $850 million to settle a case alleging that it damaged natural resources and contaminated groundwater by disposing of chemicals over decades. Minnesota was seeking $5 billion in a case that focused on the company's disposal of chemicals once used to make Scotchgard and some other products. Neapolitan M&Ms are coming to Target stores. The retailer is getting the candies for a limited time. They're supposed to taste like chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream with all 3 flavors in each M&M. They are Target's exclusive flavor for the spring. I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now on 1500 ESPN.
What? And,
how about those pipes, huh?
I hear the glorious wonder.
Oh, how great thou art.
Yes. Am I the only one that knows the words? So how great thou art?
I know the chorus.
Here it comes.
Things my
And say so. Why are we playing this?
Billy Graham.
Billy Graham died.
Right. My grandma worked for him in the 60s downtown Minneapolis. Really? She was one of his secretaries.
Yeah.
And Kenny, this is George Beverly Shea, who's singing this, sang this every night in Madison Square Garden for 2 months when they had one of their things. And
love this song.
He could fill up the room. Man. Yeah. See, the Catholics don't. We don't have that. We don't do this.
On Eagle's Wings, isn't that a good one for the Catholics?
Well, that's when you die.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't get to hear that one.
Right. They play it in your honor.
Yeah. Your family, every family, they think that's that's when you play that one.
That's
when
a good point.
Dies.
Yeah, you're right. It is
the best was when we'd have the kids choir, and my old man would always roll his eyes when we did the Go Now in Peace. He'd say, "Oh God, the kids choir again." Because everybody's off by like 1 or 2 beats.
That's what makes it awesome.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, Johnny.
Anyway, it's sunny and 18 degrees. Girls State Hockey Tournament, Class A action today.
Wow.
Yes. Proctor.
I didn't know it started.
Oh, is that where Matt is today?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
His gal plays tonight.
He's pre-gaming right now.
Yeah.
We got to root against them, don't we?
I think we
It's
have
St.
to.
Paul United. You can. It's against Alexandria.
Yeah, but
I'm pulling for the Cardinals.
Get rookie. Yeah, Kenny's hometown against Rooks.
The Lady Cards. Yep.
You gonna dust off the old football uni for the game tonight, Kenny?
Break out the old glasses.
Yeah. Can you imagine my gut in that
Oh,
thing?
it'd be so sweet.
That'd be awesome. I'd probably have to lift it up and let the gut hang out.
Proctor.
Hermantown beat Red Wing 2-0.
Proctor Hermantown is one team.
That's correct. Yes.
And it's a big
girls?
upset, too.
They beat who?
Red Wing.
Red Wing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, how come Hermantown's like this massive powerhouse, and now we let them have Proctor, too?
That's just girls. And boys, they're doing fine.
Okay. Hey, by the way, do you know Proctor, greatest nickname in Minnesota sports, the Rails, because they used to be a railroad yard out there, the Proctor Rails back in the day.
Breck was a 9-2 winner over Marshall, and tonight it's New Ulm and Warroad, and as we said, St. Paul United and Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
Go for
we want Brooke back. We miss Brooke's good humor, so go Cardinals.
Go Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Go men's team wraps up the home portion of their schedule tonight. They're playing Iowa at Williams Arena.
Well, there's no reason for him not to be here tomorrow anyway, because they don't play tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be here tomorrow, he said.
Okay.
Friday and
what if they lose?
Wednesday and Friday.
If they lose, they'll play
If they
tomorrow.
lose, it's a consolation
He's
game
over
at
at
8 in
Ritter.
the morning.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
One ex-Twins note, the Rays have agreed to a 1-year deal with Carlos Gomez. Carlos.
Go. Okay, so they get rid of Sosa and they're going to bring in Go.
How many teams has this guy played on in his career? It's got to be a dozen
Up
at
to a
least.
lot.
No. 5 maybe.
5. This is a 6-team.
6.
Okay.
News notes from today, U.S. Representative Tim Walz, a Democratic candidate for Minnesota governor and longtime gun rights supporter, has proposed an assault weapons ban in the state. Walz has faced repeated attacks from Democratic competitors because of his past support from the NRA. In a statement this week, Walz says he's been listening closely to the anger, grief, and frustration. He says he's donated all his past donations from the NRA to charity, says he won't take NRA money anymore, and now expects the group to spend heavily to defeat him.
Did you see the big wussy governor down here in Florida?
Yeah.
The kids are outside and he won't come out and talk to them.
Yeah,
He
careful,
says
though.
he's too busy.
It sounds like I was kind of piling on him, too, but it sounds like he was attending the funeral of one of the victims. That's why he's not there.
Oh, okay.
So,
right.
Well, boy.
Well, I don't know why his office couldn't just come out and say that,
yes,
and not allow people to fill the vacuum with scorn. But
yes,
as we speak, students are meeting with the president. So I saw that as I was walking in there. They just came in.
The trumpeter met with him. Good for him.
Yep.
Okay.
Orono schools are on lockdown today following a social media post threatening gun violence that would occur at noon today. The last update about 20 minutes ago on Twitter said all students are safe but remained in lockdown. Schumann and OIS, the intermediate school, would be dismissed at 3:45, they said. K-5 bus dismissals at 4 o'clock. And they say the middle school and the high school will remain locked down for now. Their dismissal time will be announced later. All after-school activities have been canceled. The police department said in a release it received 2 threats through social media, one that was vague and another that was a direct threat of gun violence at Orono schools. The police there have requested help from Hennepin County and the FBI. The district had said earlier that a separate concerning social media post last night was investigated, determined not to be a threat. Police in the district said the threats are not connected.
So 3 then, John. The one last night that wasn't a threat, and then 2 today. Is that correct?
2 threats through social media today.
These idiots know how quickly they can be found through the social media if the FBI or somebody gets involved.
I don't think they're thinking this through.
Did somebody have a test today they wanted to get out of? Is that what's going on?
know.
This is not like the old days when we were kids.
18 people injured, local officials said, after reports of a ferry explosion today in Mexico. 3 Canadians and 15 Mexicans hurt, according to the officials. Local media reported the explosion took place on a ferry at the pier of Playa del Carmen, popular resort town on Mexico's Caribbean coast. There were no deaths reported. Injuries did not appear to be life-threatening, according to the local government.
Who did we know who just was there? Wasn't somebody from the station just there, Playa del Carmen? I thought.
No.
Okay. That's the one that's south of Cancun, right? A little further down than Cancun is.
Yeah, I'll be in Maui. Whatever.
Okay.
See you, fellas.
You had this one on GL, Murph, but let me tell these guys about the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek, moderating a gubernatorial debate in Pennsylvania a month prior to the general election. The Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry announced it has extended an invitation to the 2018 gubernatorial candidates for a 45-minute debate at the 34th annual Chamber dinner this October. And yes, Alex Trebek will serve as the dinner's
You going to ask them questions?
Yeah, can we do it Jeopardy style?
yeah, they got to answer in a form of a question.
That'd be awesome. That'd be so fun.
Trebek was born in Canada, became a naturalized citizen here in 1998. In an email to Salon, he described himself as a social liberal and a fiscal conservative. He also told The Hill he thought the 2016 presidential race was, quote, very disappointing on both sides. He said he'd like to moderate a presidential debate if he could at some point.
Oh, hell, let's just put him in the office.
Sure.
No.
I'll vote for him.
As Reavers said, it's got to be Will Ferrell doing Alex Trebek.
How long has Alex had that job?
All right, Turd Ferguson.
Sorry I'm late. I had to pick up my podium from the grab.
You're not late. You weren't invited.
I like to solve the puzzle, Alex.
This isn't Wheel of Fortune.
Who is Andre the Giant?
One more. Amen.
Is that an answer to a question?
No, I was just wondering who is Andre the Giant.
Oh, God, he's funny as Burt Reynolds.
So great. I like to solve the puzzle, Alex.
Police are...
Who was that? Norm Macdonald?
That was Norm Macdonald.
The genius Norm Macdonald.
I haven't seen that one.
Here, I'll email it to you right now.
Police are searching for vandals who destroyed nearly a dozen speed cameras in Washington, D.C., according to the local police department there. Authorities say they discovered 11 speed cameras throughout the nation's capital damaged between 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning. Officers reported some of the cameras' wiring had been ripped out from where they were mounted. At one location, a police officer saw 2 cameras that had been pushed over and a camera that had been ripped off the wiring from where it was mounted. The criminal act declared as vandalism in a statement released by the Metropolitan Police Department. Authorities also mentioned at least one suspect is already under investigation. And Massachusetts transportation officials are under fire for authorizing a no-bid contract for a tiny $100,000 bathroom inside a state office building. Local TV station reports the 115-square-foot bathroom and adjoining kitchenette was installed last year at the State Transportation Building inside the new State Transportation Department boardroom. The project was fast-tracked, not put out to bid, which is usually done for state projects to make contractors compete for the work and keep costs down. Greg Sullivan, the former state inspector general, who's now research director at the Pioneer Institute, says the cost is outrageous.
All right. Thank you, John. We'll be back with more Sports Talk right after this.
Hey, Kenny.
Yes, sir.
I was stopped at the 7-Eleven today to get my Diet Cokes, and there was a young lady in a ramshackle kind of 15-year-old car there.
Like an old Taurus or something?
Yeah, eye patch.
Oh, really?
Yikes.
Nice.
Lots of tats and a heater, and I thought,
yeah.
That's
living. That's living.
That's right up my guy's alley right there.
Yeah. Said, pick her up from...
Mrs. Olson better watch her P's and Q's, else Kenny could be moving to Fort Myers.
You pick her up after she's released on parole, drive her home to the trailer court, maybe stop at a hotel on the way.
Motel, what are you talking
about? For an hour and a half. Make it 15 minutes.
I bet she can cook her own meth.
Was it just a generic eye patch, or did she have something ironic?
I think she was missing an eye.
Okay.
She had a Raiders emblem on it.
Best I could tell, but I didn't get over there and ask her.
Excuse me, miss.
It was signed by,
just for effect, or are you missing an eye?
It was signed by Mike Zimmer.
Oh, yikes.
John Haidt, take us in for a soft landing.
Wow. Authorities say a man destroyed a suburban Detroit home while trying to use a smoke bomb to rid a crawl space of skunks.
Well, I don't blame him for trying to get rid of them.
Sounds like a Joe Souchere thing, though. Something he might do. Detroit Free Press reports the man's attempt sparked a fire Monday that quickly spread from the crawl space to the first floor, through all the walls in the attic of the rental property. Ferndale Fire Chief Kevin P. Sullivan says the house was a complete loss, and he says no skunk carcasses were found.
So maybe there wasn't actually
Never was a skunk.
Perhaps
That's
not.
sure it's scam.
Speaking of fire stories, a Georgia woman who had recently lost her home to her ex-husband in a bitter divorce battle decided if she couldn't live there, nobody could.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Adrienne Satterley stacked up mattresses in her living room and set them on fire. Unfortunately for Adrienne, the fire quickly spread out of control, burned down her home, and damaged 19 others in the neighborhood.
Wow.
She meant business.
Hell hath no fury.
Wow.
Oh, gosh, she might be serving a little time.
WSB TV reports that Satterley set the fire and then left the house with her 2 cats. Authorities say she walked for over an hour to the local Walmart, where she then called 911 to report the fire.
Kenny, you can also pick this gal up on parole in a couple of months.
No, it's going to be a few years.
That's true. The cats aren't... I don't like the cats part of that.
Her home was one of 4 houses that were destroyed. 16 others suffered damage. Luckily, in all this, only 1 person was injured in the massive fire, and the Paulding Fire Department said that was just a minor injury. She's been charged with 14 counts of first-degree arson, 3 counts of aggravated animal cruelty because 2 dogs and 1 cat died as a result of the fire. Her daughter, the woman who lost 2 dogs, said she also lost everything else in the fire besides the dogs. Satterley is being locked up in the Paulding County Jail, where she's being held without bond.
Did the daughter say anything about her mother's issues, that she may maybe have some emotional issues?
No, this was the daughter of a woman who lost 2 dogs, not the fire lady.
Okay.
So our buddy on Twitter, Julie, what's her handle? WW. What would
it's
Ozzy?
Ozzy? Yeah.
What would Ozzy do? She sent me a note here, an important road closure note. Both directions of Highway 3 between County Road 46 and County Road 42 are currently shut down to a structure fire. That's down in Rosemont again. Both directions, Highway 3 between 46 and 42 shut down due to a fire. So make a move if you must.
So what you're saying, John, is parole is probably not an option, but maybe a conjugal visit of some type here?
Maybe.
All right. Noted.
The feeding habits of a Cooper's hawk may fascinate bird watchers, but employees of a New York bank are fed up with the remnants of slaughtered pigeons that a hawk has been killing and devouring pigeons.
He's the U.S. Bank Stadium of hawks.
Near the entrance to the M&T Bank in suburban Syracuse for several weeks now. Property manager Joseph Matlin told the Syracuse Post-Standard that bank staff are terrified and disgusted. Matlin says the bank tried putting up a fake owl to shoo the hawk away. Jake McGowan of the Cornell Lab of Ornithology says the hawk probably won't care about the owl, but its pigeon prey might be scared off. Colorful crow-sized Cooper's hawks have become common in cities and suburbs where flocks of pigeons and bird feeder visitors make easy pickings for the hawks.
And a great coincidence, John, there was just a hawk floating here right above me in the over Lee County, over Hammond Stadium, yes.
Patrick, did you ever check out Phyllis Kahn's Twitter account? She's dedicated her life now to the birds that are being killed by the stadium.
You told me that, and I forgot to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like you. She's tweeting pictures of dead birds, but I think she's on the other side of the argument, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
A surprise passenger on an international flight captured video of a woman using the overhead air conditioning vent to dry a pair of underpants. The video recorded February 14th aboard a Ural Airlines flight from Antalya, Turkey to Moscow shows the woman holding a pair of panties over her head to dry under the air vent.
Now, can you describe them?
I guess they weren't. This is not a G-string or a thong, is it? These are the granny panties, aren't they?
I did see a picture.
Yeah.
They were not granny panties, and it must have been a younger woman. They were smallish, shall we say. It wasn't a thong, but they were smallish.
Like bikini.
Exactly.
Do you know what the reason was? Did we get
they were wet.
Explained to us?
We did not, but a witness told Russian
media.
Were
they sopping?
Yeah.
The line I thought I might hear.
More details, please.
The line I thought I might hear, but I didn't want to. Right there. A witness told Russian media. Witness told Russian media other passengers were watching the woman as she held the underwear over her head for about 20 minutes.
Oh, bless
They were
her
sopping then for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody said a word to her, including the flight crew.
No, because they probably knew she was nuts.
Witness said people looked with surprise and bewilderment, but everybody was silent.
I really like those high-cut panties. They fit me really well.
What punishment did we give her?
None. Nobody even talked to her. Nobody said a word. And then after 20 minutes, she,
That's because on the hot, crazy Matrix, she's in the no-go zone.
Obviously.
I thought you were going to say after 20 minutes, she put them back on.
Right.
KFC, I don't know if you've read about this. They've been having problems in the United Kingdom this week. They don't
chicken
have any
shortage, right?
Yeah, they don't have any chicken, so they had to close over half of their 900 outlets in the United Kingdom this week. People are reacting in a way they shouldn't. They're calling the police to complain about this. They're using the equivalent of the Great Britain 911. Officers in Manchester are pleading for those who keep contacting us about KFC being out of chicken, please stop. Police in London joined them in tweeting the chicken shortage was not a police matter, but neither force could confirm how many calls they had received. KFC tweeted that more than half of its restaurants had finally reopened by Tuesday afternoon, but the chicken crisis looks set to continue. Hundreds of outlets remain closed. Others will have a reduced menu or short hours.
What is these? Why, Johnny? Why? Chicken farms are out of business in England, or what?
This story has been circulating since Monday, and there's been no explanation why there's a chicken shortage in Great Britain when there's not anywhere else.
That upsets me, but it would really upset the mayor.
Yes.
Is he a KFC guy? Oh, that you didn't know why.
I don't have the reason
why.
See those chickens over there?
Yeah. Pretty good.
All right, we'll be back.
That was all off the top, by the way, too. They just told Grodin to make De Niro laugh, so he came up with that line.
Midnight Run, right? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we'll be back with the wrap-up Sports Talk right after this. Pat, what's the headline out of Fort Myers today?
Today was the always popular photo day, so the boys got started a little late, and it took a little longer, but nothing really going on. Nobody's gotten hurt, and the first game tomorrow night against the Gophers, they're going to play, as you might expect, a bunch of fellas off the third team. But the headline, I guess, is Dozier returned from his kidney stones.
Okay, I'm going to hand the baton to you here real quick, Pat. Thanks for having me.
All right, Murph. Thanks.
Take it easy.
The South Dakota Stories, Volume 3. It was my first time traveling alone. Packed my car with hiking boots, a camera, and my dog Randy. I don't know what I was searching for. Maybe it was something new, with adventure. Maybe it was the idea of vacation I would never expect, filled with wildlife, national parks, rivers. Whatever it was I set out to find, it was all there and more. Because there's so much South Dakota, so little time.